Yeah, so we'll just talk a little bit about how organizations are adapting. We've done some research around that. So we alluded to remote first organizations. We won't talk to them a lot, but we talk about more the early adopters and how other sectors are affected and what they're doing. So remote first organizations, if you haven't heard of GitLab, I really highly recommend checking it out. This is Darren Murph. He is the head of remote. That is a job title, and that he got that job title in 2019. Now, GitLab is an all remote company. They've never had an office, as I mentioned before. But if you want to know what's the gold standard of remote, go and check out their website. Their values are such that they say everything's transparent. So you can get the remote playbook and look at everything. There is a course that I've done, and then anyone can do. It's the Remote Manager course that they offer through Coursera, and it really teaches you an understanding of, what does it mean to be a remote or a hybrid organization. So there's a link there when you get the slides of an interview with the Zach Sutherland on YouTube. It's absolutely super enlightening, just around how they're approaching remote and how they're working. And I found an article, the next in-demand job title is the head of future of work. So Don Price from Atlassian had this title of the future of work for years, which always sounded like a very nebulous term, but now it's really starting to change, that people are looking for people with skill and experiences. Organizations are looking for that. And there's been a 60% increase in job titles relating to the future of work. So there's a trend here just around, well, whole new industries of work are emerging, and whole new ways of job titles as well. So very interesting area to watch.
Absolutely, and one that we know very well, because it's one of the largest tech companies. In fact, it is the largest tech company in Australia, and one of the most forward-thinking as well, which is Atlassian. And for those that play in the space where you maybe touch products such as Jira and Confluence, well, Atlassian are the company that make those, which have become absolutely huge, especially over the last couple of years. Now, they've had a real culture of experimentation and collaboration going all the way back to the DNA, where they would focus on the customers and employee feedback and make decisions based on that data. The couple of guys at the top of Atlassian are just amazing leaders who have kept this culture that they set up right at the back at the beginning, when they were just a couple of dozen people back 10-15 years ago, and now they're tens of thousands of employees across the whole world. They've done absolutely amazing. Now, when here in Australia, when the pandemic hit in March, they announced the working from home period straight away for the next 6 months. Now, that was in Sydney, and at that point, Sydney wasn't really in lockdown like we were here in Melbourne. But they went, no, we're locking down for that whole period. And during that period, they launched what they call Team Anywhere. And there's a couple of links which we'll be sending out after this. It's worthwhile having a look at what they did with Team Anywhere, because as it says in the name, it said, yes, you're in a team, but you are from anywhere. And that wasn't just within Australia, that was across globally. They've got these global teams that they pulled together and worked very successfully. But they started to take it even further in 2021. So as the pandemic went on, they made some big decisions, and a lot of the staff were told never to come back into the office at all, back into Sydney. And over a quarter of staff in Sydney, and from top to bottom, cut their ties with Sydney and moved remotely within Australia. These are fundamental shifts. When you're actually moving home, moving schools, moving your families, these are, as we were saying before, these things that change the habits. If you're literally changing what town you live in, major changes that are going to be hard to unwind. And just last month, they have doubled down on that. Well, tripled down on it, because they've decided to triple the local workforce here in Australia, and they're hiring 5,000 new staff locally within Australia. But locally means anywhere within Australia whatsoever. And I think actually they expand that to Indonesia and New Zealand, as long as you can, because it takes just as long from Perth to Sydney as it does from Wellington to Sydney. Australia is a very, very big place. But they're tripling down on this and going for it for remote talent across Australia. Just when some leaders here in Australia are beginning to say, hey, isn't it going to be great? We're going to be back face to face soon. Yeah, we've been able to do things on Teams, but or in Zoom, but now we're coming back into the office, and isn't that wonderful? Well, there's some big organizations that are saying, well, we've kind of learned from that, and we're going to really go for it. Now, they still do, there's a time and a place to come together. So they've got quarterly meets where they bring people together. So it's not kind of remote all the time. There are some people who do go into the office, but they are absolutely hurtling down this hybrid, and they're a very big player in this space. So really big one, early and fast adopters, and it'll be fascinating to see here in Australia whether the other large organizations like the banks who are fighting for the same talent have to go down this path as well.
Yep, I think it's I think what I really want to tie, when we're tying this back to agility, really saying innovation and business agility is the core competency. Atlassian is a company that does that really well, just because of the way they collaborate and communicate with one another, and how they, they're very research and data driven as well, and really interested in understanding their customer as well as their employee, which is kind of like their customer. So the better an organization is that, the faster we're able to actually pivot towards how to do this in the remote world and how to make this attractive, and they're going to hire another 5,000 to 7,000 people, and that is an insane number. But it's what they will do, and globally.